I'm here with Tobias of Vomitory to talk about the upcoming new record, All Heads Are Gonna Roll, out May 26th on Metal Blade Records. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thanks. How
Thank
are
you.
you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for taking the time today to talk to me about this new record. And let me ask you, you didn't like the retirement?
Uh, Apparently not.
Very short-lived.
Yeah, and it wasn't meant to be like this, but here we are.
So when you guys start to think about coming out with a new record, 12 years since the last studio album, is there a specific moment in time that you can pinpoint as that was the spark? That was what got us back on track, back in the studio recording a new album.
Yeah, I would say that the pandemic helped us to make this decision, because we were doing this temporary reunion in 2019 to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the band. Playing live shows only. And but we decided to extend that reunion into 2020 to play some more shows because there simply wasn't time enough to play everywhere that we wanted during 2019. So we did like five shows into 2020. The pandemic hit the world, so everything was put on hold, and we were thinking that because the shows that we still had planned, they got either canceled or postponed, and also new show offers were coming during the pandemic as well. So we were thinking that, are we really going to play 30th anniversary shows in 2022 when it's actually been 33 years? So it was during the summer of 2021 when we had a band meeting where we decided to start working on a new album, and we decided to get back to as a real band, like in the old days, recording and releasing albums and go on tours and so on. So that was the moment.
So once that moment happened and you guys made the decision, okay, we're going back and recording and putting something together, was it strange getting back in the studio? Was there some cobwebs that you guys had to remove, considering the length of times that had gone by between both studio albums?
No, I wouldn't say that. It was just like any other recording session. But it was different in a way that this time we recorded all the instruments in our own rehearsal place, which we haven't done before. So that was a new experience for us. But no, we didn't really have any, cobwebs to remove it. It went
Smooth.
Yeah, I wouldn't say smooth. It went like it usually does. There's always some problems that occurs during a recording session, and you have to reschedule certain things. But in the end, we are very, very happy with how it turned out, and that's what counts.
Yeah, and for you personally, is there something that you enjoy more or less when it comes to the recording process of a new album?
I actually like the recording process, because I like the how when you hear how the songs come to life, so to speak. How they build up. You start with the drums and the bass and the guitars. When you put everything in there into a song, and finally you have the vocals. And I love the process to see how a song grows and get how it turns out to be in the end. I like that process a lot. but of course there are some days in the studio that's not very nice, when you're having a bad day and you cannot perform the way you want, and so on. But that's just normal procedure for us, I guess.
When you guys sat down to make this album, did you have an overall vision of what you wanted the sound of this record to be? Did you think that you wanted an album that connected with the past, or did you wanted an album that was a little bit more forward thinking? What was the thought process for you guys?
I think we wanted to create something that was forward thinking, but at the same time, we were actually looking back to what we sounded like in the early 2000s, around the albums Revelation, Nausea, Blood Rapture, and Primal Massacre, because we wanted to get back more to that kind of to be more straightforward in our sound and our songwriting, because I think on our previous album, Opus Mortis 8, I think it's a great album. I'm very happy with it. But at times on that album, I think that we overdid a few things. We complicated things when we really didn't have to. So we tried to stray away from that, and went with a more straightforward approach, like we had on those early 2000 albums. Sorry.
Now, when it comes to the drum sound, I got to tell you, one of my favorite elements of this record is how the drums come across, because I love the fact that, at least this is my perception as the listener, I like the fact that they sit a little bit in the back, they create the foundation of the sound, they allow the guitars to come a little bit forward, they have their own unique wall of sound, if you will, but at the same time, there's enough splash on the drums at times that thins out that wall of sound. It's not a consistent thick wall from start to end. There is some deviations in it. It's almost like it doesn't move up and down, but it moves sideways, which I really enjoy, and it gives great life and great energy to a record that overall is very concise, very balanced, very straightforward, like you said. Was that your thinking behind that drum approach, or is that the drum approach that the songs really needed to have?
I think it's well, part of it obviously is my way of drumming, my way of playing, but I think it's mostly the work of our mixing guy, Lawrence McRory. That's his style of mixing, I would say. I understand exactly what you mean with your description there, how the drums sound in the mix, and that's what I like with the style of Lawrence when he's mixing metal. It's a very massive, it's a massive production, but still there is a lot of air in it. Exactly. And especially in the drums, and I like that, and it it allows the drums to breathe in a way, even though it's very intense and fast drums. It's yeah, I like the way he mixes the drums. So I think Lawrence is mostly his part in this.
You're tipping the hat to him. You're giving him all the kudos.
Most of the kudos.
Now, do you have a song on this record, maybe because of the way the drums come across, maybe because of the drum sound, maybe the vocals, maybe something else? Is there a track on this album that you're super excited to play live because you feel like it's going to be such a great representation of the album as a whole?
Yeah, the title track, definitely. I think that's one of the strongest tracks of the album. That one, and I'm also excited to play Rape, Strangled, Sodomized, Dead. And Yeah, I can't give away too much now because we haven't really set the new set list. I'm not sure which of the new songs we're going to play live yet, but we could play all of them if that's the case, because I think all of them are that good, and they all have a very strong identity by their own.
Yeah,
You know?
it's funny that you mentioned those two because I felt like this album, one of the great qualities of it is that it's as strong at the beginning as it is at the end. It's not one of those records that loses a little bit of steam as you move along, and then the end tracks are there just to kind of fill in the track listing. No, I mean, this is an album that honestly you could listen from start to end to start, shuffle, doesn't really matter. The tracks themselves all have the same sort of consistency and the same sort of quality. So I think it's going to be a record that's going to create a lot of problems for you guys as far as the set list is concerned.
Yeah, I'm happy to think that, because yeah, I think that the album the closing song is one of my favorites as well. "Beg for Death." That
It's
one
my top
turned out.
three. It's definitely my top three.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that one turned out so fucking good, I think. I really liked it when we had it finished, but when once we recorded it and I heard how good it was going. There's the process again I was talking about, when you gradually hear a song come to life. That was the exact that you know for "Beg for Death," when that one was recorded, and when I heard what the final thing would be, it turned out so great.
Yeah, it's a song that ends the record, but it almost makes you want to press play again and go back again from the start because it leaves you wanting more. You know what I mean? It's not a song that ends the album and it's like, okay, I can go do something else. No, it ends on such a strong note that it's like, let's go back at it again. I need to enjoy this record all over again. I honestly, I really like the design. I really like the choices. And it's one of those designs as far as the structure is concerned. And I want to ask you about this. I don't, sometimes the structure of an album dictates almost the quality of the album. Because when you listen to the songs outside of the context of the record, they don't sound almost as good as they do in the context in which they come when you're listening to the album from start to finish. I found that this record doesn't really have that issue because I tried to listen to the album in the original format. I tried to listen to the album on a shuffle format. I tried to listen to the album on loop to see if there was any changes. I didn't feel anything different regardless of how I approach it. Is that a sign of the quality of the individual songs, not necessarily depending on a certain format in order for them to work?
Well, I think that's probably a sign of strong songs, I guess, and strong individual songs. Yeah, I think so.
Keeping it all together. Let me ask you about the vocals, because one of the things I noticed on this album was the backing vocals. You guys use it quite a bit, adding a little bit more texture, adding a little bit more volume, if you will, without having to change too much vocally. What was the thought process behind it? Because they do appear quite often and frequently on this record.
Yeah, because that's not something that we have done too much in the past. And I think that's a result of Eric putting a lot of work and thought into the lyrics and the song phrasing, the lyric phrasing, the vocal phrasing. I mean, and also the help from producer Richard Löfgren, where we recorded the vocals in his studio, so he was there, kind of coaching Eric while he did the vocals. So yeah, it's a result of Eric doing a great job, first and foremost, and also that Richard was there to supervise it all when we recorded it.
Are you guys looking at that now that you've done it on this album? Are you guys looking at that as something that could be another tool in the arsenal as you move forward? Or
Yes.
was that where it was more specific to this record?
I would say that it will be something that we're going to use a lot more in the future. Well, not a lot more, but we will. Yeah, you will see it again on the next album. I'm pretty sure of that.
And speaking of what's next, because the album is just around the corner,
Yeah.
and you talked about the touring, the demands for the touring when you guys were supposed to be retired. Now that you're not retired anymore and you have a new record, does this mean you guys going to hit the road hard again and support this album extensively?
Yeah, we will tour as much as we can, and well, first we have the summer festivals in Europe. We have a bunch confirmed. We're playing in Germany, in Czech Republic, Belgium, um, Netherlands, and so on. And then in September, mid-September, we're doing a full European tour for about a month. The dates and the other bands will be announced pretty soon, I think. And after that, we're going to Mexico, play at Mexico Metal Fest in Monterrey, and there may be a tour in Asia before the end of this year, but I'm not sure about that yet.
That's a
And
busy schedule.
yeah, it is. And we're also doing a Eindhoven metal meeting in the Netherlands in December. But we're also working on shows for the next year already. I'm quite sure we will do a tour in South and Central America next year, and we will play at Maryland Death Fest in Baltimore in the US next year, and hopefully we can do some more US shows and also Canada.
Yeah, because I was going to say I'm in Canada, so don't forget about us. You know, we share a border with the U.S., but we're very different. So don't forget about your Canadian friends to the north. We love our Swedes here. We love our Mats Sundins and the Henrik Larsson and all of those guys. Like we love our Swedes
Yeah,
here. If you go to see the Hall of Fame, there's a lot of Swedish jerseys there. So please do not
yeah.
forget about Canada.
No, we were there in 2019 and did some shows, and it was really nice, and we would love to come back.
I
But
will.
that was only on the east side, so we would love to. I mean, it's a very big country, but it would be nice to play some on the west side as well.
I'm on the east side. I'm in Toronto. So now this is where I
Oh,
say
okay.
that I don't care about the west side. As long as you guys come to the east side, I'm totally fine with that. I'm just being
Oh,
selfish.
Toronto, Rush. I just say Rush.
Yeah,
I'm a big Rush fan.
every time I say, by the way, and there's a brewery here. So if you guys do come to Toronto and you want to go check out the brewery that makes the Rush beer, I'll gladly drive you guys there and you guys can have some Rush beer.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
So it would be my pleasure. I got two quick questions for you. One is when I was listening to the album, old school death metal is something that always comes to mind when I listen to you guys, especially with this record. Do you even define what because I was thinking about it and it's like, what the hell is old school death metal? So, considering that you play death metal, do you have a definition of what old school death metal is?
Um, well, what's the definition? Well, I don't know. Everybody knows what old school death metal is, don't they?
I think so, but sometimes I get asked, like, what do you mean by that? Like, I mean, I think it's kind of self-explanatory, but
Yeah, I
I
think
don't know.
so
I
too.
figure
But
I would ask you. Maybe you would know
yeah,
it better than me. Turns out
uh,
we're both puzzled by it. So,
yeah. I mean, probably different people have different opinions on what old school death metal is. But to me, old school death metal is, I mean, bands like Entombed, if you're talking Swedish bands, Entombed, Dismember, Carnage, Unleashed, and American bands, Morbid Angel, Cannibal Corpse, um,
You can throw obituary in there too.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course, obviously, yeah.
So last question for you. Considering that Sweden won Eurovision this year, and you guys are hosting next year, I watched. I'm not gonna lie, I watched the whole thing. I even voted.
I watched it too. I watched it too.
I even voted from over here. I spent quite a bit of money voting. You know,
for which country?
I can't say that. I can't say that.
Okay.
I can't say.
There was Finland, right?
Finland did get some of my votes. I'm not gonna lie, the Cha 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 song, it's super hooky. So I did give it some votes. But I also gave Australia some votes as well, because I thought their song was really cool. And it was nice to see a metal band in the competition, as well with Lord of the Lost from Germany. So the question I have for you is, next year you guys are hosting. It's ABBA's 50th, I think it's 50th anniversary since they won the competition.
Yeah.
Is there a chance of us seeing Vomitory and Eurovision bringing in death metal to the masses?
No, not in a million years, I think.
There goes my dream. All right. You know, it's nice to see that I'm not the only one that watched. So it's kind of like a guilty pleasure. I think a lot of people that say they don't watch, they do watch. They just don't want to admit it that they watch.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think there's a lot of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of Swedes that, oh, how can you watch that? But you know, since our song was, you know, was a favorite, I think a lot of Swedes, they watched anyway because they were curious too, and they rooted for Loreen, who won this competition. So
yeah, you know what surprised me I mean, it was fun to see a Finn and a Swede going head to head, because we all know how much you guys love one another. So it was really nice to see that dynamic playing out at Eurovision. The thing that surprised me the most was Finland gave Sweden, I think, 12 points, which I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting them to give them like nothing. That's kind of where I was.
Yeah.
So that totally shocked me, because it was like, wow, I didn't see that coming. So it's nice to see a competition like that, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And congratulations on Sweden for the win. And even though we're not going to get any Vomitory on it next year, you know, we'll probably get you guys playing shows, and people can go and see the shows and not sing Cha 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 while doing it.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
All right, Tobias. I love talking to you. It was an absolute pleasure and a blast. Thank you for taking the time. A great record on your hands. I love this album.
Thank you.
Congratulations for it, and I hope to see you in Toronto soon. And like I said, the offer will stand. If you guys want to go have some Rush beer, I'll gladly drive you guys to the brewery.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No problem. All the best. Take care.
Nice talking to you. Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.